everyone, and thank you for watching your Top Think Tanks review. I'm your host, Bryce Dolan. Now today on the show, we have an update on the situation in Turkey from Freedom House. According to Freedom House, Turkey's well-documented authoritarian descent took its latest dive last weekend when the parliament passed a series of dubious constitutional reforms, one of which would allow incumbent President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan to seek 2 additional 5-year terms after his current tenure expires in 2019. Now, the package of amendments would further erode separation of powers by abolishing the post of Prime Minister, enabling the president to make a range of new political appointments, and expanding presidential authority under states of emergency. Now, Erdoğan already uses the state of emergency not as a short-term option of last resort, but as a cloak under which to conduct politicized crackdowns on his perceived enemies. Now, Turkey is presently operating under a state of emergency that Erdoğan called nearly 7 months ago after the failed coup attempt of July 2016. Now, according to Freedom House, Erdoğan claims that new constitutional arrangement would resemble the French or American systems, with the president rather than a prime minister holding most executive authority. While this glosses over a number of important differences, one stands out. The French and American systems feature regular transfers of power, whereas Erdoğan has already been the paramount leader, first as prime minister, then as president since 2003. In his hands especially, concentrated presidential power would be wielded as a weapon. More than 130 lawmakers boycotted or voted against the reform package, with one opposition member even handcuffing herself to a lectern in protest. Another lawmaker, Safak Pavi, was injured when ruling party members subsequently rushed the podium and dislocated her prosthetic arm from its socket. That scuffle was only the most recent instance of alarming fistfights in the parliament. Law in Turkey is increasingly coming at the expense of order. However, there is still one obstacle that the constitutional amendments must clear: a referendum that will put the matter to a public vote this spring, probably in April. Now, once sturdy freedoms have eroded steadily since Erdoğan's Justice and Development Party, or the AK Party, took office in 2002. Turkey has jailed more journalists than any other country. Violence against LGBT people persists and is often compounded by poor police and judicial protections. Riot police use excessive force against anti-government demonstrations, as when beatings, arrests, and tear gas were used to break up the iconic 2013 Gezi Park protests. And Turkey's sizable Kurdish minority, which in recent years enjoyed new language and education rights, while the militant Kurdistan Workers' Party, or the PKK, held peace talks with the government, is once again being treated as a threat to the state as heavy-handed security options displace Kurdish civilians in Turkey's southeast. Now, of course, conditions will not automatically improve if Turkish citizens reject the constitutional reform package, but a public rebuke would accomplish 2 things. First, it would check Erdoğan's personal power, retaining existing barriers that limit his assault on political opponents and human rights defenders. Second, it would send a hugely important message that the Turkish people are not so cowed by their country's challenges that they will sign away their own freedoms to a dictator. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following this situation in Turkey with me since last July, then you have witnessed Turkey slipping into more of an authoritarian regime. And I don't think we can call him President Erdoğan anymore. I think it's more politically correct to say Dictator Erdoğan, especially if these new reforms get passed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to read into this article yourself, you can find a direct link to this article below in the description, and I encourage you to do so. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, that way you can get notified every time a new video is posted. Give our Facebook pages a like, and follow us on Twitter. But that does it for your Top Think Tanks review, ladies and gentlemen. I was your host, Bryce Dolan.